The Red Sox need to do something quick, and maybe that's in the form of a trade. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and basically right down to the exact inning Trevor Story got injured, the Boston Red Sox since then have completely forgotten how to play baseball. They have played basically 4 full games without Trevor Story so far, and in those 4 games, they have 8 different errors. That is absolutely abysmal, really terrible stuff, and it's a big reason why they look like a minor league team against the Baltimore Orioles right now. However, there is a silver lining here, and the silver lining is that there's still 150 games left to play this season and time for the Red Sox to turn things around. One of the ways they could speed up that process is to look outside of the organization to get some defensive help in the form of a trade. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down 3 separate trades I think could help save this Red Sox defense, talk about what it would take to get them here, why it would make sense for the Red Sox, and we're also going to talk about whether or not a trade is actually a possibility for this team. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, if you want to listen to these episodes instead of watch them on YouTube, whether it be on the go or because you don't think I look very good, these episodes are now available on Spotify for you to listen to or download. The link to that is in the description down below. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first trade that could help save the Boston Red Sox right now would be the Red Sox sending both David Hamilton and Matthew Lugo to the Chicago White Sox in exchange for Paul DeJong. Now, Paul isn't really going to give the Red Sox anything offensively. He's a .229 career hitter with a .298 on base percentage, but a .418 slug, which is good for a 92 OPS plus, about 8% below league average production. He would give you a bit of pop from the right-hand side, though, which could be an interesting addition to this team. And if you look at his spray chart from last year and overlay it to Fenway Park, there are a lot of outs there that probably aren't outs if you're playing 81 games at Fenway. So maybe there's some intrigue there at the plate despite his below average career numbers. However, that's not the focus here with Paul, because the real focus is his defense. He's one of the best defensive shortstops in all of baseball. Last year, he was in the 94th percentile in outs above average with 9, meaning only 6% of the league had better outs above average stat. Being able to get someone in here that is that good defensively would absolutely help the Red Sox massive hole that appears to be growing in the Red Sox infield. It would also, like we talked about with Trevor Story, improve the people around him. It would make life easier for Emmanuel Valdez or eventually Vaughn Grissom. It would make life easier for Rafael Devers, which is going to be hugely important to the success of the 2024 team. And he wouldn't really cost a ton. He signed a 1-year, $1.75 million deal with the White Sox. In my opinion, if the Red Sox do end up going outside the organization and looking at a trade possibility to help with this defense that's just absolutely terrible right now, Paul DeJong feels like a really realistic option. The Chicago White Sox aren't going anywhere this year. They are going to be much, much worse than the Boston Red Sox. They're trying to, I think, rebuild their team. I'm not entirely sure. Getting 2 players who have a ton of control and who can help with that infield off the bench or close to off the bench in Matthew Lugo at some point, right? That could be interesting for the Chicago White Sox. So I don't think this is totally out of the realm of possibilities. And if we're talking about realistic options here, Paul DeJong feels like a realistic one. Number 2 on this list would be the Boston Red Sox sending David Hamilton, sorry, Mr. Money Mike Madness, you're going to hate this video, and Zach Kelly to the Kansas City Royals in exchange for Garrett Hampson. I absolutely love Zach Kelly. I want him here in a Red Sox uniform, so it pains me to even put him into this mock trade, even though it probably won't happen. But of areas that the Red Sox could possibly afford to trade from, the bullpen depth feels like a good place to start because they do have some options in AAA, and their bullpen overall, despite what happened last night, has been really good at the major league level. And getting Garrett Hamson in here would be really interesting. Again, like Paul DeJong, he's probably not going to give you much at the plate. He's a career .240 average hitter with a .304 on base percentage, so at least he's getting on on base a little bit more than Paul DeJong, but he certainly does not have the pop that Paul DeJong has with a 370 slug, good for just a 73 OPS plus, about 27% below league average production. But he is a really solid defensive shortstop who in 98 games throughout his career has 5 defensive runs saved. And just like Paul DeJong, he's not going to break the bank. He's on a 1-year deal worth $2 million, and the Royals could really use some bullpen help. Plus, Hamilton gives them some relief up the middle off the bench. If the Red Sox look outside the organization for help, this could be a really interesting option, not only because he's a solid defensive shortstop, but also because of the fact that he can play all over the outfield. He's not a very good defensive center fielder, but he is a solid left fielder and right fielder, and what this would also allow you to do is give you the opportunity to put, say, Don Rafaela at shortstop if you wanted to go that route. So Garrett Hampson, a little bit worse offensively, but would give you more versatility than Paul DeJong. And again, when we're talking about realistic possibilities for the Boston Red Sox, I don't think this one is really out of the realm. If the Kansas City Royals are trying to actually compete in this division this year, getting some help in the bullpen early could really help with that. The third one here is a bit wacky. I'm going to be totally honest with you. It's a little tough to wrap your head around, but bear with me here because I promise you I do have reasoning for this, and that would be for the Red Sox trading with the New York Mets to acquire Harrison Bader. I don't really know what the exact package or what a type of package would look like for Harrison Bader. Baseball Trade Values doesn't put a ton of value on him. I personally think it would take a pretty significant player to get Harrison Bader on your team, but if you were able to do that, you could be setting yourself up for a lot of success. Harrison Bader is not a shortstop. He would not be coming into the Boston Red Sox to play shortstop, but what he does do is play a pretty fantastic center field, at least when he's healthy. Last year, he was in the 95th percentile and outs above average at 9, very similar to Paul DeJong. He was in the 82nd percentile in arm value with 2, and he was in the 91st percentile in arm strength, averaging 91.7 miles per hour per his throw. What this would do would allow the Red Sox to get pretty creative here. I think the biggest fear with taking, say, Don Rafaela out of the outfield, specifically center field, and putting him full-time at shortstop is that you're taking a potential Gold Glove winner center fielder out of that position. There's not really anyone on this team who's going to be able to replace what, say, Don Rafaela was doing in center field. Acquiring Harrison Bader would do exactly that. He is a Gold Glove winning center fielder. He's a well above average defensive center fielder, and he would absolutely give the Red Sox the opportunity to play, say, Don Rafaela full-time at shortstop, where he would be an above average defensive shortstop. And again, that's, in my opinion, the much bigger need for this team right now, and that would basically not only solve the shortstop problem, but it would also really help out the Red Sox outfield defense, where before you'd probably be losing a whole lot of talent out there. I absolutely love the idea of Harrison Bader, and I know it's a little wonky, but it's a creative solution to this problem. Now, offensively, just like everyone else we talked about in this video, he's not going to give you a ton, but there were seasons where he was really productive. 2020 and 2021, he had an OPS plus of 114, meaning in those seasons, he was 14% better than the average player in the league. Now, overall, throughout his career, he has a 343 average, a 310 on base percentage, and a 393 slug, which is good for a 92 OPS plus, the exact same production-wise as Paul DeJong, 8% below league average. It would make the Red Sox a really athletic team. He's not going to give you a ton of pop, but he does have a little bit of a higher average, and he's extremely quick. He was in the 86th percentile in sprint speed last year. I don't know if this one would make any sense for the Red Sox in terms of what they are looking for, but man, would this be a ton of fun to watch. Speed Demon Jarren Duran in left field, speed in Tyler O'Neill in center field, speed in Harrison Bader in center, and speed at shortstop and, say, Don Rafaela. This could be an absolute blast for the entire season. The other thing I think that's really holding the Red Sox back in terms of this trade is the fact that Harrison Bader signed to a 1-year, $10 million deal. Unfortunately, I don't think that's really in the Red Sox budget. And honestly, I don't really know if any of these are realistic options for the Boston Red Sox, because it really doesn't feel like they are even remotely looking at outside solutions to this problem. Craig Breslow basically shut down that idea when Trevor Story got hurt, saying that right now they are focused on finding a solution with internal options, which I don't exactly love, but I do kind of understand, because at the same time, while we're sitting here being like, yeah, it would be so easy to go out to get someone on defense who is a defensive forward player, they're in a bit of a tight spot here. They know that their backs are up against the wall, and any team that they go and try and trade with, like I mentioned with Harrison Bader, where the actual value of the player isn't exactly crazy, every team knows they need someone in a position to help with this defense. They're going to be asking for the world, or at the bare minimum, the most value possible for a player that the Red Sox could possibly use, which would make trading for someone extremely difficult. But something needs to be done here, right? You can't keep going on with a defense that's giving you 8 errors over 4 games. That's an average of 2 errors per every game. That simply cannot happen. And if it does, we're in for a very long season, possibly even a worse season than we saw last year in terms of just actual ability to watch. It's just, last night was not a fun game to watch. The day before that was not a fun game to watch. It's because you're watching the Red Sox shoot themselves in the foot. You need to find a way to take that gun out of these guys' hands and be able to put them on the right path again. And maybe it is an internal option, but maybe the solution is outside this organization. And my hope is that Craig Breslow's looking at this and he's saying, whoa, okay, we need to right the ship as soon as humanly possible. Let's be as reactive as we can, or even proactive, before this snowballs into a really, really big issue, one that they cannot come back from. One series, a stretch of games, should not define an overall season, but in this case, I think it absolutely has the potential to, if you don't figure it out and figure it out quick. Maybe a trade is the solution, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think? What do you think is the solution to this Red Sox problem? Do any of these trades pique your interest? Is this anything where you're like, all right, yeah, I could see how this could save the season? Or are you like, Corbin, these are all ridiculous. This isn't going to happen. Let me know all your thoughts on these trade possibilities in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, also available on Spotify if you want to check it out over there. Again, all you have to do is look up Red Sea Radio on Spotify or click the link in the description down below. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.